Good evening to all the viewers of GIA Cafe. GIA is group of intellectuals and academicians. We have been socially active for social issues for past 6 years now. And GIA, under the aided leadership of Monica Arora ji, she's a convener, and Ms. Lalita Nijhavan, she's co-convener. We've been working day in and day out on lot of issues which impact the social spectrum. This is a new initiative by GIA in the name of GIA Cafe, which is a very informal chit chat with the experts of different fields. Informal but very important topics. So here we come today with a new topic of the population policy, which UP government has recently announced. So for that, we have invited Ms. Manisha Agarwal Narayan to discuss and give some insight on this population policy. Manisha is advocate and legal analyst. She handles arbitration, company, and commercial matters. She represents many government and Supreme Court, including government of Uttar Pradesh. She also represents armed forces in Delhi High Court. Manisha ji, very, very warm welcome to you.
Thank you, Monica ji. It is indeed a privilege to be here.
It's all our privilege. We look forward to have a lot of insight today from you on the UP population policy. So let's start with our first question to you. The first question that we and our viewers would like to know from you is that what are the highlights of this policy? Because there's so many things going around, but what are the key highlights of this policy that you think that we should know about?
So, Monica ji, it is very important for us to know two basic things about this act. One is that this is not an act, it's a policy or a bill as of now. So one is that this bill tells us what will be the good consequences of following the two-child norm. By following two-child norm, we mean one of the partners voluntarily sterilizes himself or herself after having two kids or after having one kid. So when a person sterilizes themselves after having one or two kids, they have followed the two-child norm. And then there are some incentives that they are entitled to. Secondly, what happens if they don't sterilize themselves? There is no effect. Nothing happens. There is no punishment. They don't get disqualified from anything. But the thing is that if somebody has a third child, after having two children, they have one more child, then they become disentitled to some of the incentives that the government provides. So these are the basic things. So what are the incentives that a person has as a result of following the two-child norm? Incentives are in the nature of rebate and charges for utilities such as water, electricity, basic necessities. Then you also get soft loan on purchasing of home, or you have nominal rates of interest. Then maternity leave of 12 months to either of the parents. For government servants, there are some additional incentives that this particular bill provides. It says scholarship for higher studies in case of a girl child, free education up to graduation level, preference to single child in admission to all educational institutions. So basically stress is on educational facilities. Then they say such other benefits and incentives as may be prescribed. So these benefits can later be also increased. Then there are some other benefits also available to the government servants. Like they have benefits in the nature of promotion. They have benefits in the nature of the amount of pay they receive as a result of promotion. Then these people are also open, they can also apply to government jobs. Government jobs are open to them. But for people who have 3 children, they cannot apply to government jobs if they have a third child after this policy will come into force. So this policy will come into force after 1 year. So the people of Uttar Pradesh have 1 year to get in sync with this act and decide what they want to do. So after 1 year, when this act comes into force and it becomes an act, then if somebody has a third child, then in that case, they will not be able to apply for government jobs if they are already in a government job, additional 2 promotions, which is an incentive for the people who are following the policy. That incentive is not available to them because that is created for people who follow the policy. Similarly, for people who follow the policy, there are 2 additional incentives in terms of the salary upgrade that they get, especially created for people who follow the policy. So if you have a third child, which procreates after the passing of this act, then you don't have these incentives available to you. Then you cannot contest election if you beget a child after this particular law comes into force. So these are few things that are entitled to a person who follows the policy. And obviously these things are created for people who follow this particular norm. So others are not entitled to these special incentives. These are some 2 basic things.
Manisha ji, what I understand from whatever you said, it highlights more towards the government employees rather than the general public, or is there anything except the contesting the election, which is for everybody. So besides that, there is no incentive for anybody. Let's say I am an entrepreneur, so let's say I follow this policy. So then what is the incentive for me? And if there is not, then should we not tell the government to include that also?
Yes, very rightly pointed out, Monica ji. In fact, this policy has a number of sections for government employees, and then one section says that all these benefits, incentives and disincentives will also be applicable to the general public.
Okay.
But then promotion or pay raise, these are things that people who are entrepreneurs, advocates, architects, professionals, businessmen, so they are not affected by these things. So for them, there are some things like soft loans, rebates in basic necessities like water, electricity, etc. But then we need to create more incentives for everyone, not just those who are in either public employment or in private employment. We can create more incentives, like in the nature of loans for the purpose of business.
Yeah.
Or rebates for the purpose of profession, or tax benefit. I don't know. There can be a number of things.
Yeah. So maybe those kind of suggestions should go to government.
Yes.
Maybe
so Monica ji, government had invited suggestions, and so people had also given some suggestions. The last date is over, but I believe that still, if we have more suggestions, somebody wants to say something, they can. Through email they can send, and the government can consider now also.
Very nice, Manisha ji. It was a very crisp but very clear point of view. My next question would be that why do we need such kind of policy? Why do we need population policy in our country?
Very interesting question. See, India has a literacy rate of 77.7% as taken in 2020. So we are not even near 90% or 95%, or I would say why not 100%. Then our annual increase in crime rate is 1.6%. It has gone down, but why is it increasing at all? We should be recording annual decrease in the rate of crime. Then we have 1.3 billion citizens who need better quality of life. We need to provide food, shelter, and clothing to our increasing number of people who live below poverty line. So therefore, we need to focus on quality now.
Yeah.
We have quantity, we have numbers, we have got a lot of human resources. It is time for us to focus on quality. As a whole, as a country, we need to look at it.
Yeah.
And then, of course, you see, from where does all these pandemic start and spread? All over the world, where we have more number of people living in lesser space. So more population, more spreading of diseases. So for health purposes also, for education, for earning, better quality of life, we need less number of people, more education.
Yeah, and I think in addition to what you just said, that we have limited resources. You cannot increase. Till what point you will increase, keep increasing? Land is so much, so you can't increase the part of the land. So more and more population increases the load on the resources that you have. So you rightly said that, that's, and then we talk about climate change. And I know that population plays a very, very important role in climate change.
That's
So
right.
when we talk about climate change, and as our Prime Minister also yesterday was talking about climate change and our country's role in positive role in climate change. So I think this population also plays a very, very important role in climate change. So you rightly said that education, quality, these things for health also, everywhere the quality, if we want to bring in quality, then we have to have such kind of policy. So related to this, my next question now to you, Manisha ji, is that why so late? Why so late for this policy, and only Uttar Pradesh? Why not pan India? Is only the Uttar Pradesh thinking about it, and rest all states are good to go with their population, or they have less, and only Uttar Pradesh has the highest number of population. So why is it so?
See, Uttar Pradesh is the most highly populated state in India, but I would not like to compare why Uttar Pradesh first, why not some other state. But yes, we do need this policy all over the country, because as a country, our population is increasing, and as a country, our resources are limited. So let us think as a country now. I agree that we need this policy all over India. Why so late? Maybe because, Monica ji, there are two types of laws. One is which makes it very mandatory on people to do certain things. There are punishments. So these laws are made in response to crime. When it becomes mandatory, it becomes urgent to control a particular situation. And then when social change, we are talking about social change, then we are talking about changing the mindset of people. So we are not talking about enforcing something. So as mindset of the people changes, it is a very organic process.
Yeah.
So as slowly people realize that we don't need many children, and as people realize that all the children are our children, all children are India's children. Children in my neighborhood are also just like my children. So slowly, as we realize that we are also a country and not just an individual, not just a family, and as a country, we need more quality, less quantity. And then social change comes, and then law comes to aid the social change. So this is a law which is in the aid of social change. And slowly now, I believe that all the states will take it up, or maybe the center will take it up.
So do you think that organizations like us, these social organizations, should also come forward and play their role in educating the nation as a whole? And as you said, that it's a social change and not the law that will bring this change. So do you think that the NGOs, the social activists, as an individual, should also come in, frontline and make this kind of the awareness through campaigns or through whatever ways possible?
Yes, definitely, Monica ji. Organizations like GIA, they have a responsibility to clarify what is there in the policy. Because I was reading a news article of a reputed website today, and it said that as per this policy, I've told you whatever I've told you from this policy only. I have the document. So the news article said that as per the policy, if somebody has two girl children and then they procreate a third child, then it will be taken as an exception and not as a violation of this policy.
Yeah, I also heard this. You're right. And, my daughter was telling me actually this, that in the school there was a debate wherein children were saying that what kind of policy is this? Wherein if you have two girl children, then you can have the third child. So it's a negative. I don't think so. It's part of the policy. I don't think so. It's there in policy. You also just mentioned.
So with organizations like GIA, we can make it clear to the public, people at large, what are the contents of this policy, so that an educated public opinion is formed on the law. It does not mention that girl child. The word girl child is there only once in the law. It says that if there is a girl child, then there will be special focus on education of that child. It does not say that if there is a girl child or if there are two girl childs, then you can make an exception and go have a third child. There are a few exceptions in this act. And these exceptions are, if you have two children, if you have one child, and after passing of this law, you become pregnant, and then you give birth to more than one babies, twins, or more than two babies, then in that case, it is not violation of this act. It is not intentional. Second is if you have two children, you can adopt a third child, right? Third is that out of the two children that you already have, if one has some kind of a disability which is defined, then you can go for the third child. That will not be violation. And the last is if one of the two children unfortunately expires, then you can go for a third child. That will not be violation. So using the term violation again and again in this document, but the fact is normally the term violation is used in criminal law where there are punishments. So I want to clarify that there are no punishments. And if you don't want to follow this policy, you do not lose anything. All you don't get is the incentives that are specially created for those who want to follow this policy. And you don't need to sterilize yourself. If you do, you will get incentives. If you don't do, that's fine.
Are there any rules or anything specified in the policy in terms of right to vote or in terms of getting the ration card and all that stuff? Is there a restriction on that, or does policy doesn't talk about that?
Yeah, so right to vote is a fundamental right, and nobody can take away right to vote of a citizen of India. So that is not here. But talking about ration card, it does talk about rules applicable to polygamous marriages and also polyandrous marriages. So, for example, if a person marries more than one, if a man marries more than one woman, so the ration card can have only 4 units.
Okay.
Mom, dad, and 2 kids, not more than that. That is one. Second, if a man marries more than one woman, so the total number of children the man has, if it goes more than 2, then this man will not be entitled to the incentives created for people following the policy. Now, these women who he has married, those women who have 2 or less children are entitled to the benefits of this policy. And vice versa, in case of polyandrous marriage also, mutatis mutandis, the same rule applies. So that is what.
So I think that's all for the today's interview, Manisha ji. At the end, would you like to say something to our viewers about this policy and how they should take it?
Yes, definitely. I would like the viewers to just make a small Google search and you can get this document. It is not very difficult. You can read it. If you find it complicated, post your comments. Monica ji, can I ask viewers to post comments on the
Yes, of course.
discussion thread?
Yes.
And we can reply. We can answer your questions. Whatever questions you have, we can answer them. We want you to read the document and then form an opinion.
Yeah.
And you want to say something to the government, mail it to them. You can also reply back to Jia's platform. Monica ji, you can also give your website in the comments.
Yeah, I'll do that.
Whatever questions or suggestions people have, let's take it to the government if anybody wants to say something.
Very nice, Manisha ji. It was very nice talking to you, and you've given a very, very simple outlook of this policy. So viewers, this video is for you to understand about the UP population policy and for you to become the active participant for such policies to be applicable all across India, pan-India. So let's play our positive role in making this country the best country that we have. And let's wait for our next video to come. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Monica ji.
Thank you.